But we did have a great question come through from Wade Ashby, who is a regular listener and regular interactor on this show. And he's the Dean of Online Education and an Associate Professor of Computer Information Systems at Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas. And Wade Ashby says, for people getting into data science careers, what's the best thing they can do to get noticed? And is there anything they should avoid that employers can count against them? So part of that question, the first part around the best thing that they can do, we might, if anything comes to mind that you feel like we should say, but I feel like kind of those things, networking, portfolio, having the right skills, we've kind of talked about those in this episode. Feel free to, chime in with another best thing if you feel like we haven't covered it. But the second part of that question, we haven't at all, which is there anything that people getting started in a data career should avoid that employers would count against them?
That's really interesting. I think if we go to like projects and portfolios, there are some projects that like, I think you and I would probably both agree that it, like if we saw those projects, we've seen them like a million times and we kind of discredit them. Maybe not entirely, but like if you just do like normal, like the Titanic data set and see like where people like make a prediction model, whether people survive or not based off of their socio-demographic stuff, that's probably done a little too often. So that's probably the first one. And then like maybe for image recognition, the MNIST data set, like just classifying handwritten numbers, that's probably not enough to land like a computer vision job, So maybe just like really basic projects, but like really the Iris data set, the Titanic data set, the MNIST data set. And then if you're a data analyst, I almost said the stupid. I don't want to say the stupid, but the silly city bike sharing thing that the Google cert has you do at the end that they call a capstone project. That I don't really 100% agree that it's a full capstone project. Like those ones have just been done by probably literally millions of people. I think if a project's been done by, hundreds of people, I think it's fine. But like some of those data sets that are maybe just have been used millions of times probably just lack the luster that they once did.
Nicely said. Agree 100%. I mean, it ties into something, the opposite of what you just said is something you have said a number of times in this episode, which is that your projects should be about something you're actually interested in. And yeah, so using the same demo data that everyone has been using already is not going to cut it.
Can I add one more that is kind of controversial that I often repost this on all of my social medias because it just gets the comment section going and like it's a fish frenzy. I say something kind of controversial and I'll get your take on it. I say that GitHub is not a portfolio. And I actually think that like, that's maybe something that you could fall into as well, is like saying you have a portfolio, but it's just your GitHub. And really I say that just because I think it's interesting to think about that perspective. I don't 100% believe it, but I will say this, that like GitHub recognized that people are using GitHub as and I am specifically talking mostly about data analysts, to be honest. But GitHub recognizes, people use this as a portfolio. This is not really how we built the tool originally. And so they come out with GitHub Pages, which is essentially their portfolio product. The other thing is I think you can have your GitHub be your portfolio, but like you have to just really be conscious of it because GitHub was designed to be like a code repository, right? That makes it easy to work as a team. And so you just have to like, by default, it's kind of ugly and messy. Like you just have to want to make it look good because hiring managers and recruiters are going to spend 10 seconds on your portfolio to start. Once you've gained their trust and like their admiration after those 10 seconds, they're going to spend 60 seconds. So you just don't want that first 10 seconds to be wasted with like a 25% filled out GitHub that's like been committed to like maybe once every other month or something like that.
For sure. And you can end up, it's so easy to have your GitHub profile be filled with other people's work. Like you can just be saving,
That's
forking
true.
other projects. And so it can mean that as a hiring manager or recruiter, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Just looking at someone's GitHub and trying to like tease through like, it doesn't look like they actually did anything in this repo here. They just forked it. And you don't want them to have to be doing any of that, as you say. And so it seems to me to make a lot of sense. I don't know what you do recommend, but it popped into my head that standing up a website is pretty easy. Like you don't need to actually, have a JavaScript, HTML website. You can use Squarespace and click and point to create a simple website, host your portfolio there.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of the mistakes I made when I made my portfolio. I just set it up in GitHub Pages, which uses Jekyll basically and Markdown to build a website. But even then, I think that's overkill. I think Squarespace, or there's a card with two R's, is really easy to set up a website. So I think that's a great start.